You won't believe what's inside this box. It's not the fastest machine, and it's definitely not the biggest, but it might be the heaviest one I've ever dealt with. This is a workstation, built for graphics and engineering. Back in the day, it was powerful, but now, with old generation CPU, it's basically outdated for modern workloads. That's why most of these get sold off for really cheap. I picked this one up for just $20, and I put together everything I need to turn this into a real gaming machine. And the best part, it didn't even cost that much. Before jumping into the upgrades, let's take a moment to understand this old beast. This is the HP Z400, a workstation released back in 2009. It was built during a time when 3D rendering and video editing were becoming more demanding. And you might ask, why not just use a regular PC for that? Well, back then, consumer PCs simply weren't stable enough. They weren't designed to handle heavy workloads running for hours, even days. Machines like this were built for exactly that, reliability under pressure. And the reason it became so popular? Price. At around $1,000, it was way cheaper than high-end workstations, which could easily cost 5 to 10 times more. But of course, nothing lasts forever. Today, this thing is old, and honestly, it has more downsides than advantages. I mean, it weighs 13.4 kilograms. You don't just pick it up, you commit to lifting it with both hands and a strong sense of purpose. And on top of all that, this thing is a power hog. So yeah, machines like this eventually get thrown aside, treated like expired tech. But the real question is, what can I turn it into? Alright, and let's power it on. Since this motherboard doesn't have any display output, I had to install a GPU just to see anything. And I'm using an SSD with Windows already installed. First boot. It sounds like a fire truck. Loud beeps, red flashing lights. At first I thought it was some kind of safety switch. But even after pressing it, nothing changed, so I did some digging. Turns out, 3 beeps usually mean a RAM issue. Alright, makes sense. I started swapping RAM slots, one by one, nothing, still the same error. Until the last slot, and finally, it boots, thank God. And that's when I realized it wasn't the RAM slots that were faulty at all, it was just the priority order. With only one stick installed, the system expects it to be in slot 1. So yeah, all that confusion earlier? Turns out it was just me putting the RAM in the wrong slot. But here's the thing, it takes almost 2.5 minutes just to get into Windows. Yeah, this thing is struggling. Inside we've got a Xeon W3550, 4 cores, 8 threads. Technically still usable for gaming today, but the clock speed is limited, maxing out at around 3 GHz. And performance? It scores about 1468 multi-core and 270 single-core. Not impressive, not even close. And the RAM? Just 4 GB DDR3, single stick. Yeah, that's rough. Before jumping into the upgrade, I want to take a closer look at the specs of this machine. When it first arrived, it was disgustingly dirty. Clearly, it hadn't been cleaned or maintained for a very long time. So yeah, perfect excuse to give it a proper deep clean. Now, one thing you'll immediately notice is how spacious this case is, and that's not by accident. These systems were designed with extra room for multiple hard drives, and more importantly, for airflow. Because machines like this were built to run non-stop, day and night, they need that open space to keep temperatures under control. It also comes with a ton of RAM slots, honestly more than I'll probably ever use. The CPU cooler is pretty standard, and I have a feeling it's going to get loud under heavy load. As for the PSU, it's rated at 475 watts, but realistically, the actual usable output is closer to 456 watts. With an 80+ bronze rating, it's not the most efficient. So yeah, it'll consume a bit more power compared to newer units. It does come with plenty of cables for storage, but what I really care about is GPU power. And thankfully, HP didn't disappoint. There's a 6-pin connector ready to go. After cleaning every corner of this machine, it's finally time to take it to the next level. Since this system has no iGPU and no display output, a dedicated GPU is absolutely essential if I want to turn it into a gaming machine. And when it comes to budget performance, there's one card that always comes up, the RX 588 GB. For just $65, you're getting a card with 8 GB of RAM. At this price, there's honestly nothing that comes close. It's one of those rare deals where performance and value actually match. Alright, time to install it. This workstation gives me 2 PCIe by 16 slots, and honestly, you can use either one. It doesn't really matter here. Let's power it on. And yeah, immediately one weakness shows up. This machine is painfully slow to boot into Windows. I had to wait almost 3 minutes just to reach the desktop. That's rough. After that, I went ahead and installed the AMD drivers for the card. And now, finally, let's kick things off with the first game, Minecraft. Alright, something's clearly not right. The FPS is all over the place. Stuttering, unstable, barely hovering around 20 FPS. It feels rough, almost unplayable, and yeah, this is where the age of that CPU really shows. It just can't keep up anymore. The CPU is pinned near 100%, constantly struggling, and temperatures shoot up to 80 degrees Celsius. This thing is basically a heater at this point. And it's not just the CPU, RAM is also a bottleneck. So I upgraded to 16 gigabytes. Thankfully, this system uses standard desktop RAM. No need for ECC, which makes things easier and cheaper. After the upgrade, things improved. FPS can hit over 100 now, but it's still unstable. The stutters are still there. And at this point, it's obvious the CPU is the real bottleneck. So I tried lowering the render distance to 8 chunks, and wow, FPS jumps to around 300. That's a massive difference. Still not perfectly stable, but the stuttering is much less noticeable. Honestly, for a 17-year-old CPU, that's pretty impressive. But yeah, the weaknesses are still there. Weak single-core performance and high temperatures. But don't worry, I've got something ready. Something that completely changes the game. This is the Xeon X 5690, the final boss of the LGA 1366 platform. 6 cores, 12 threads with a base clock of 3.46 GHz. And here's the crazy part. That base clock is already higher than the turbo boost of the CPU we were just using. It can boost up to 3.7 GHz. Sure, by today's standards, that might not sound insane. But 17 years ago, this thing was a monster. And the price back then? Around $1,600. Now, you can find it on eBay for just $28. That's kind of insane. So, how does it actually perform? In terms of multi-core performance, it's a massive jump, about plus 1,000 points compared to the W3550. That's huge. As for single-core, the difference isn't night and day, but overall, you're still looking at roughly double the performance. But benchmarks are just numbers. Let's see it in real use. Back to Minecraft. At 32 chunks, when I'm moving on the ground, FPS goes over 100. That already feels like a completely different machine. But the moment I fly up and look down, you can see the weakness again. FPS drops to around 50 because now the CPU has to load way more chunks at once. So I lowered it to 8 chunks, and this is where things get crazy. FPS jumps to 550 to 600, sometimes even spiking above 700. That's insane for a platform this old. But even then, there's still one problem that refuses to go away: stability. The FPS still fluctuates quite a bit, and that's just the reality of using older CPU. No matter how powerful they were back then, keeping things perfectly stable today is still a challenge. Alright, let's move on to the next game, Cyberpunk 2077. At low settings, the FPS sits around 45. It's not amazing, but it's not terrible either. It's that middle ground, just enough to actually enjoy a story-driven game like this. And interestingly, it feels more stable than Minecraft, probably because this game leans much more on the GPU than the CPU. But then, another problem shows up. Temperature. That old stock cooler, it just can't keep up anymore. This power-hungry CPU is pushing it to the limit, and the noise, it's loud enough to get seriously annoying. So I upgraded to a 4 heat pipe air cooler. There was a small issue though. The CPU fan header is 5-pin, while the new cooler only has a 4-pin connector. But luckily, there's still a free sys_fan header on the motherboard, so I plugged it in there. Time to test again. Back to Cyberpunk 2077, and yeah, the difference is immediately noticeable. Temperatures drop by about 10 degrees Celsius, staying consistently under 70 degrees Celsius. That's a huge improvement. But of course, nothing is perfect. The new cooler is too tall. It sticks out a few centimeters, which means I can't close the case anymore. So yeah, I made a choice. I just left the side panel off. Not pretty, but way better airflow. And there's one more thing that people rarely talk about with these old systems: power consumption. Even just gaming, the CPU alone can pull up to 140 watts. And that's not even counting the GPU. I did try to push it further, maybe squeeze out more performance with overclocking. But this isn't a gaming motherboard. It's built for stability, not tweaking. I even tried tools like throttle stop, but yeah, no luck. The multiplier is locked. Throttle stop only really works on unlocked chips, like the K or Extreme series. So if you're thinking about upgrading a system like this, something like an i7-990X would give you a real chance to overclock and push performance further. As for me, I wouldn't recommend buying a system like this just to upgrade it, but if you already have one sitting around like I do, then yeah, hopefully this gives you a solid path to turn it into a real usable gaming PC.